Space technique. The golden-robed man frowned deeply as he looked at the old man, standing casually nearby. The space technique was one of the most powerful and mysterious forces. Legend had it that when cultivated to the highest level, the space technique allowed one to manipulate space at will. Within the span of a single breath, one could traverse a distance of 10,000 miles. The ultimate elder, Blood Moon Elder, shuddered when he saw the new arrival. This white-haired old man dressed in white robes was certainly the ultimate elder, that old pervert. His power is comparable to that of the Holy Lord. He may even be more powerful than the Holy Lord in some aspects. Blood Moon Elder looked at the ultimate elder in shock. Although the Blood Moon Holy Lord was the spiritual incarnation of the Heavenly Emperor, the power of the Blood Moon Holy Lord could be said to be unrivaled in this mainland. But this ultimate elder had been fighting the Blood Moon Holy Lord for years, from which one could deduce how powerful he was. "Hey, little girl, haven't I seen you somewhere before?" The ultimate elder's gaze suddenly fell on Yi Qingtang. "You haven't just seen me before. Once, you used a force seal and frightened my 1,000-league horse until it stiffened up and couldn't move." The corners of Yi Qingtang's mouth twitched. The ultimate elder was one of the 3 legendary powerful cultivators in this mainland. Besides him, there was the Pagoda Sword Master, who had left this mainland long ago, and the Blood Moon Holy Lord. But this ultimate elder could be said to be devoted to the Blood Moon Holy Lord. For many years, he had hunted him without giving up. "Oh, is that so?" When he heard that, ultimate elder propped his chin on his hands and thought for a while. Then he suddenly slapped his thigh. "That's right, I remember now. I was hunting the Blood Moon Holy Lord at that time." The moment he mentioned the Blood Moon Holy Lord, Yi Qingtang felt her head ache. So it was that younger brother she had picked up along the way that had turned into an invincible slayer. This ultimate elder was certainly very clear about things related to the Blood Moon Holy Lord. When the golden-robed man saw the ultimate elder chatting with Yi Qingtang as if no one else existed, he felt neglected. His expression darkened, and he glared at the ultimate elder and said, "Lord, are you overlooking something?" When the ultimate elder heard that, he turned and studied the golden-robed man. "You are the invader of Central Mainland?" Although ultimate elder came and went as he pleased, he had noticed that Central Mainland had been invaded. "You can interpret it that way if you like," said the golden-robed man. "Did you ask my permission before entering this mainland?" asked the ultimate elder. "We of the ancient Yu clan do not have the habit of consulting dead people." The golden-robed man laughed coldly. Before the ultimate elder could continue speaking, the power of a heavenly venerate rushed forth. It swiftly sealed the area and pressed down towards the ultimate elder. When he saw that, a cold light shone in ultimate elder's eyes. He raised his right hand and pointed at the void in front of him. The next second, they could see that the surrounding space rapidly twisted, as if heaven and earth were exchanging places. The golden-robed man's heavenly venerate powers were largely absorbed by the twisted space. I didn't expect this mainland to have a powerful cultivator who understands a space technique. Not bad." The golden-robed man looked at the ultimate elder, and his lips curved upwards. "This is interesting. Otherwise, this excursion to exterminate this mainland would be too boring." "Enough nonsense. Let's fight to the death." Ultimate elder etched out a symbol with his hand, and the twisted space started to press towards golden-robed man. A strange lotus-shaped demonic flame suddenly surfaced around the golden-robed man and burned the surrounding space. Extraordinary flame. When he saw that, the ultimate elder frowned slightly. Before the ultimate elder had time to think, the golden-robed man had already escaped the twisted space. He pointed at the ultimate elder. When he saw that, the ultimate elder grunted coldly and also reached out with his finger. When the 2 fingers met, an earth-shattering explosion rang out. As she watched the fight between the ultimate elder and the golden-robed man, Yi Qingtang swiftly concluded that the ultimate elder and golden-robed man were both powerful cultivators at the same level. Like the golden-robed man, The ultimate elder possessed the power of a heavenly venerate. Apart from that, he had also cultivated the extremely mysterious space technique. This ultimate elder had lived for many years in this mainland. If not for the lack of spirit energy in this mainland, he would have already become a powerful cultivator in the realm of a holy venerate. It was already a miracle that he had forcibly cultivated the power of a holy venerate while in the realm of Yin-Yang perfected Lord. At that moment, Yi Qingtang could see that the ultimate elder was not losing to the golden-robed man. As he raised his hands, space ripped and poured out wildly like rain, forcing the golden-robed man to retreat. Not bad. Carry on. A burning luster surfaced in the golden-robed man's eyes. He laughed wildly as his entire person immediately shot skywards. Chaotic fury. At that instant, an extraordinary flame in the shape of a lotus flower surfaced around the golden-robed man. He pointed at the sky and laughed coldly. As the golden-robed man spoke, endless flames rapidly fell from the void above. Devour space. When he saw that, the ultimate elder right hand forcefully grabbed at the void. The next second, the space within a radius of 100 meters was torn, and black holes appeared. All the flames were absorbed into them. Space returned. The ultimate elder's finger dabbed lightly in front of him, and the lotus-shaped extraordinary flame that had been absorbed by the twisted space now rushed towards the golden-robed man. Good, this is interesting. The golden-robed man's lips arched upwards. The lotus-shaped extraordinary flames that had surfaced around him absorbed the extraordinary flames that were heading for him in all directions. You're truly powerful. If you were not limited by the spirit energy in this realm, you would probably be powerful enough to fight me. A pity that you will die here today. The golden-robed man laughed coldly. Swoosh! Before the ultimate elder could speak, Yi Qingtang flicked numerous crimson flames towards him. In the void, the crimson flames soon transformed into the color of black ink. You think too highly of yourself. When he saw that, a trace of disdain surfaced in the golden-robed man's eyes. Compared to his lotus-shaped extraordinary flame, the power of all flames were futile. The golden-robed man waved his right arm, and a tongue of lotus-shaped extraordinary flame rushed forth. But to the shock of the golden-robed man, the black flames instantly devoured his lotus-shaped extraordinary flame. Boom, boom. There was a loud crash as the black flames that were filled with the aura of extermination exploded. The golden-robed man was too close and was caught off guard. The aftershock of the black flames explosion forced him to retreat by dozens of meters. Extraordinary flame? The golden-robed man looked at Yi Qingtang in some surprise. The golden-robed man had assumed that the black flames Yi Qingtang displayed were merely ordinary fire elemental cultivation techniques. He had not imagined that they were actually extraordinary flames. What kind of extraordinary flame is this? The golden-robed man frowned with a rather puzzled expression. In this world, there were a total of 3,000 types of extraordinary flames. Besides the dozen divine extraordinary flames that, according to legends, only the gods possessed, he knew all the other extraordinary flames. But he could not recognize the extraordinary flame that Yi Qingtang displayed. Even Yi Qingtang herself did not know the name of this extraordinary flame, much less the golden-robed man. When Yi Qingtang had understood the ultimate origin skill, this extraordinary flame already existed. Later, when Yi Qingtang inherited the divine phoenix's bloodline, the extraordinary flame in her body had perfectly integrated with the divine phoenix's bloodline. After that, Yi Qingtang had coincidentally obtained the heavenly demon devouring bloodline, and then her extraordinary flame had transformed into a deep black color, and its power had become even more aggressive. To be honest, Yi Qingtang's extraordinary flame could not be considered as an orthodox extraordinary flame, but was a mutated extraordinary flame. With the ultimate origin skill as its basis, it integrated with the divine phoenix's bloodline and the heavenly demon bloodline to form an entirely new type of extraordinary flame. Little girl, this extraordinary flame of yours is really something. The ultimate elder stared at the black flames that had surfaced around Yi Qingtang as he spoke. How many types of extraordinary flames are you familiar with? Yi Qingtang asked. Oh, I know about burning firewood, but not too much about extraordinary flames. The ultimate elder thought for a while before replying. This reply rendered Yi Qingtang speechless. She had thought the ultimate elder was an expert and wanted to ask him about the reason behind mutated extraordinary flames. You have a death wish. The golden-robed man suddenly bellowed in rage. His entire person transformed into an afterimage, and he swiftly arrived at Yi Qingtang's side. He raised his right hand and struck at her with a terrifying force. "Umph, you aren't showing me any respect." When he saw what was going on, the ultimate elder grunted coldly. He crooked his fingers, and the void next to Yi Qingtang suddenly twisted and swallowed Yi Qingtang up. Boom! With a deafening sound, the golden-robed man's blow missed its mark. Yi Qingtang, who had been right in front of him, suddenly vanished completely. At the same time, the space next to the ultimate elder suddenly started to ripple, and Yi Qingtang's figure appeared. "Ha ha, little girl, isn't this fun?" The ultimate elder laughed and said to Yi Qingtang, "Thank you for your help." Yi Qingtang cupped her fists and thanked the ultimate elder. This ultimate elder space technique was truly extraordinary. Even at Yi Qingtang's peak, she had seldom seen the space technique being displayed. However, the ultimate elder space technique had been cultivated to a very high level. He could exchange spaces and move them across a distance of 1,000 miles. It was truly unparalleled. Before the ultimate elder could say anything, Yi Qingtang's expression suddenly changed, and she involuntarily looked behind her. Swoosh! Whiz! Many ear-splitting noises could be heard, and a few moments later, more and more afterimages surfaced in the void above. Two middle-aged men arrived in the nearby void. One of them was wearing a long black robe. He looked aged and wrinkled, and his left eye was blind. The other was wearing a long green robe. He was extraordinarily handsome, with waist-length bright red hair. A heavy sword was tied to his back with a white cloth. "General Yu Tong, General Yu Ming, you're too late," said the golden-robed man. When he heard that, the green-robed man, who was called Yu Tong, laughed remotely and said, "General Eugene, can't you deal with the ants in this inferior mainland yourself?" "This is the girl who destroyed Sky Star City and Wind Cloud City," Yu Ming, the other black-robed man, said. His remaining eye fell on Yi Qingtang. Behind the two generals were many powerful cultivators from the ancient Yu clan. Most of them were at the level of Yonglord. This old man is quite powerful, and his skills are comparable to mine. Also, Elder Fo tried to kill me and seize my generalship. I was attacked from all sides just now, the golden-robed man said laughingly. When he heard that, the green-robed man, Yu Tong, looked at the ultimate elder. In an instant, Yu Tong's eyes turned blood-red. His pupils slowly turned as if they contained everything in the universe. With just one look, ultimate elder shuddered. Illusion. When she saw what was happening, Yi Qingtang's expression changed. This green-robed man's eyes belonged to some bloodline and were extremely terrifying. He is under my control. However, this old man has great mental strength. General Eugene, I cannot last for long. Go and kill him, said the green-robed man, Yu Tong. When he heard that, the golden-robed man's lips curled slightly upwards. The frightening lotus-shaped extraordinary flame surfaced in his hand, and he threw it at the ultimate elder's brow. This is bad. Yi Qingtang immediately used her mutated extraordinary flame. Her entire body was instantly filled with black flames, and she was poised to rescue the ultimate elder. However, before Yi Qingtang could act, they heard a swooshing noise. Thousands of sword glints fell like rain from the void. At that moment, there was a surge of sword breath, and sword silhouettes could be seen everywhere. The entire area seemed to turn into a country of swords. The golden-robed man was blasted by the sword glints and forced back by a few dozen steps. A golden sword glint surfaced in the void. The golden-robed man narrowed his eyes when he saw the golden sword glint. The golden sword glint rapidly transformed into an old man in a cotton robe. Humph! When the old man saw the ultimate elder, he grunted loudly. The ultimate elder immediately opened his eyes. We haven't met for a long time. You're getting weaker. The old man looked at the ultimate elder and said coldly. You. When he saw the old man, the ultimate elder looked rather surprised. Pagoda Sword Master. When she heard that, Yi Qingtang was also taken aback. Legend had it that this old man was the most powerful cultivator in this mainland, but he had left many years ago. Pagoda Sword Master. Legend had it that the Pagoda Sword Master had become renowned when he was young. He had defeated all the powerful cultivators in this mainland. The Ultimate Elder and the Blood Moon Holy Lord had cooperated to fight the Pagoda Sword Master, but they had also lost, of course. The Blood Moon Holy Lord was only the spiritual incarnation of the Heavenly Emperor and not the Heavenly Emperor himself. No matter how powerful the Pagoda Sword Master was, there was probably still a gap between him and an especially strong cultivator like the Heavenly Emperor. Of course, Yi Qingtang did not know how powerful the Pagoda Sword Master currently was. Everyone, please show me some respect and leave this mainland. The Pagoda Sword Master swept a glance at the golden-robed old man and the three generals as he spoke. I'm afraid you don't deserve such respect. The green-robed man, Yutong, laughed coldly. We are the ancient Yu clan. We want to exterminate this mainland and take away something that belongs to our clan. But how about this? If you are willing to join the ancient Yu clan, we will let you live, the golden-robed man said. In that case, more words are futile. Let's fight. As the Pagoda Sword Master spoke, two frightening beams of sword breath burst forth from his eyes and swept towards the group from the ancient Yu clan. Chapter 1153, Pagoda Sword Master 2. At this instant, the ancient clan people attacked immediately and formed several prints with their palms. Subsequently, an almost substantive screen appeared in the air and trapped everyone in it. The sword aura that shot out from Pagoda Sword Master's eyes immediately slashed the screen, and a deafening noise erupted. Humph! Ultimate Elder scoffed loudly, and he leaned forward, twisting the surrounding space. The sword shadow that Pagoda Sword Master slashed out entered the twisted space, and the next time the sword shadow appeared, it was already thrust into the screen by the twisted space. Puff! Several Yu ancient clan disciples had their necks slit by the Pagoda Sword Master's sword shadow and died at the scene. Almost instantly, the three generals of Yu ancient clan leaped toward Ultimate Elder and Pagoda Sword Master, causing an overpowering aura to fill the air. In just a blink of an eye, both sides were locked in a battle. Seeing that the battle was increasing in violence, the Blood Moon Elder quietly walked to Yi Qingtang's side and whispered softly, "Holy Lady, let's run first." They originally thought that they would definitely die, but unexpectedly, Ultimate Elder and even Pagoda Sword Master, who had disappeared from this mainland for a long time, rushed over. Now that Ultimate Elder and Pagoda Sword Master were engaged in a tight battle, it was a good chance for them to flee. However, it was as though Yi Qingtang did not hear Blood Moon Elder's suggestion, and her attention was completely focused on the battlefield. It was not that Yi Qingtang did not wish to take this chance to escape, but she discovered that as the battle intensified, the spirit energy on this mainland expanded immediately, and this mainland was about to burst from the spirit energy that they discharged. Regardless of Ultimate Elder, Pagoda Sword Master, or those powerful figures from Yu ancient clan, their skills had already exceeded the limit of this mainland, and this excess may not be completely leveled even if their skills were suppressed. In this intense battle, the powerful figures executed their skills brazenly. The dangerous amount of force that exceeded the spirit energy of this mainland was a constant assault to this mainland's tolerance of spirit energy. Uneasiness crept into Yi Qingtang's heart. The martial culture of this mainland had always been low, and there were few powerful figures such as Ultimate Elder, Pagoda Sword Master, and Blood Moon Holy Lord. Thus, their appearance would not have much influence on this mainland. However, if the number of such powerful figures suddenly inflated in the same area, and these powerful figures unleashed their powers at the same time, how could this mainland be able to withstand this bout-like assault? By then, this mainland would explode due to the inability to withstand so much force. Yi Qingtang frowned inadvertently at that thought. If it was really as she guessed, everyone on this mainland would die regardless of the Yu ancient clan's attack. At this instant, more and more Yu ancient clan figures rushed over from all sides. The Ultimate Elder and the Pagoda Sword Master were facing 3 Yu ancient clan generals. Although they were not at a disadvantage yet, the arrival of more Yu ancient clan figures eventually saw the strain of even Pagoda Sword Master, the man known as the most powerful figure of this mainland. Chapter 1154, Pagoda Sword Master 3. It may not be so. The Ultimate Elder suddenly looked up and gazed afar. Almost at the same time, when Ultimate Elder looked over, a wave seemed to appear in the air. In just the blink of an eye, numerous black shadows appeared from that wave. Those black shadows transformed into bolts of light and descended from the sky unannounced. The masses from the 3 mighty forces, Phantom Valley, Peerless School, and Biming Manor, suddenly appeared in everyone's sight. Greetings, Ultimate Elder. 3 tall figures stood out from the 3 mighty forces. The masters of Phantom Valley, Peerless School, and Biming Manor immediately walked forward and greeted Ultimate Elder with a bow and cupped fists upon seeing him. Ultimate Elder waved a hand briefly in response. Ultimate Elder was a legendary powerful figure on this mainland, and even the 3 mighty forces were extremely respectful toward him. Yi Qingtang had a look of understanding when she saw the arrival of the 3 mighty forces. Currently, the invasion of the central mainland powerful figures into this mainland was a pressing crisis, and the Peerless School, Phantom Valley, and Biming Manor would not sit around and do nothing. The 3 mighty forces must be aware of the current situation and Yu ancient clan's intentions. If they did not stop the Yu ancient clan's massacre, the 3 mighty forces would also ultimately vanish along with everyone on this mainland. They were not fools. No egg was left intact when a nest was doomed. Regardless of their dynamics previously, they could only join forces now. Senior Ultimate Elder. This is Biming Manor Chief looked at Pagoda Sword Master and asked curiously. Pagoda Sword Master, replied Ultimate Elder. Pagoda Sword Master. Their expressions changed when they heard this name. The Pagoda Sword Master had left this mainland a long time ago, and barely anyone knew what he looked like. The power holders of the 3 mighty forces had never seen the Pagoda Sword Master before either. Although they had not met the Pagoda Sword Master before, he was extremely esteemed and renowned. Legend has it that the Pagoda Sword Master was the #1 figure of this mainland, and even the Blood Moon Holy Lord back then was defeated by him. They heard that the Pagoda Sword Master had left this mainland a long time ago. Yet unexpectedly, today, the Pagoda Sword Master actually returned to this mainland when it was facing a crisis. The addition of the 3 mighty forces resulted in 10+ young lords on the Pagoda Sword Master's side. Yet despite this situation, Yi Qingtang was not seen to be relieved at all, and she looked at the frowning Ultimate Elder. As expected, the Ultimate Elder had a somber expression as he looked at the Yu ancient clan masses. Even with additional support, the Ultimate Elder was still distressed. While the 3 mighty forces joined in, the Yu ancient clan was much more powerful than he expected, and it was probably tough to contend against them even if the full force of the 3 mighty forces participated. If the hidden ancient clan of this mainland could join them, perhaps there was a tiny hope in this battle. Aren't you all being delusional for wanting to protect this mainland with just a few of you? The golden-robed elderly of the Yu ancient clan snickered. Chapter 1155, The Spirit Energy Crisis 1. As the golden-robed man had said, it was basically unrealistic to resist the Yu ancient clan even with 10 more young lords. Swoosh! At this instant, many figures flashed across the sky. Ultimate Elder finally sighed in relief at the sight. Finally here. Several figures loomed from the sky and entered everyone's vision. After the elderly in the lead landed on the ground, he immediately looked at Ultimate Elder and spoke. Ultimate Elder, it's been long. Looking at those people who arrived suddenly, Yi Qingtang realized that there were many young lords who came with the elderly, and the clothes that they were wearing were embroidered with a foreign and aged totem. A guess struck Yi Qingtang almost instinctively. Yi Qingtang seemed to have seen that totem in an ancient book in her previous life before. It was just that the ancient book only had a few fragments left when Yi Qingtang obtained it, and this totem appeared in the remaining excerpts. Although there was no detailed description of the origin of this totem, it vaguely mentioned that this totem seemed to be related to the ancient clan of this mainland. Although this mainland's martial culture was backward, it still had a long history, and there were many hidden ancient clans. Apart from the obscure ancient clan that attacked Falling Sky Valley, there were other ancient clans living in between the mountains and clouds. Similarly, both the ancient Yu clan and the domain monarch's Jiang clan in central mainland were classified as ancient clans. The totem seen on the group of people who came suddenly led Yi Qingtang to guess that they could be an ancient clan that had been concealed from the world for a long time, though she could not be certain. However, looking at how that elderly in the lead and Ultimate Elder were talking, they seemed to know each other. The golden-robed man from Yu ancient clan stared at those ancient clan figures who rushed over fearlessly, and a sneer hung on his lips. You think too highly of yourselves. In reality, given the backward martial culture of this mainland, the obscure ancient clans of this mainland were no match for those of the central mainland, even if they showed up. However, to a certain extent, if the obscure ancient clans of this mainland were willing to join the war, they could still resist the ancient Yu clan for a period of time, even if they were unable to defeat the ancient Yu clan. After all, this mainland suppression of skills could slightly restrain the ancient Yu clan skills. Had there not been such suppression, the ancient Yu clan would probably have destroyed this mainland a long time ago. Yi Qingtang was even more somber when she saw the golden-robed man's arrogant attitude. If there were powerful figures at Yin Yang perfected Lord 10th Heaven like Divine King Luo Shui, the calamity of this mainland could be easily prevented. Nonetheless, the Yin Yang perfected Lord 10th Heaven figure from the obscure ancient clan that attacked Falling Sky Valley had been killed by Divine King Luo Shui, and Divine King Luo Shui himself was dead too. This mainland most likely had no other figures at Yang Lord 10th Heaven. As the mainland's catastrophe approached, an increasing number of itinerant cultivators rushed over to the battlefield. It was just that this mainland's spirit energy was too thin, and only a handful number of itinerant cultivators were powerful figures, as almost all the true powerful figures were in ancient clans. For example, one of the powerful figures from the ancient clan killed by Divine King Luo Shui was in the Yang Lord 10th Heaven realm, and he was considered an ancient figure. Apart from him, almost no one from the remaining obscure ancient clans lived over 10,000 years. These obscure ancient clans and Divine King Luo Shui did not live in the same generation. While they were obscure ancient clans, they were the descendants of those ancient figures from 10,000 years ago. In terms of skills, it was impossible for them to be compared to that Yang Lord 10th Heaven person whom Divine King Luo Shui killed. Endless explosions could be heard at this instant. The Pagoda Sword Master's side and the Yu ancient clan side were locked in a battle. Immensely horrifying martial auras crashed into one another, and remarkable skills were executed. One could hardly distinguish the situation with the naked eye. Holy Lady, are we going to join the battle? The Blood Moon Elder was standing beside Yi Qingtang currently. The two of them had long been ignored as though they did not exist. Ardor and zeal coursed through the Blood Moon Elder's blood as he watched the great match. His eyes were burning while his unrivaled body could not hold back any longer, and he wanted to show off his skills. By then, he would definitely become the center of attention. Yi Qingtang frowned deeply and shook her head. We are not joining the battle. The Blood Moon Elder was slightly surprised and did not know Yi Qingtang's intention. The Pagoda Sword Master and Ultimate Elder's side fell behind in terms of numbers and skills when fighting against the ancient Yu clan. Once Yi Qingtang and he, two top young lords, participated, there would be an evident improvement in the situation. However, Yi Qingtang did not say anything and inspected the sky instead. The spirit energy of this mainland was expanded increasingly as the battle intensified. If it expanded to the limit, there would only be one possibility. This mainland would no longer be able to bear this pressure. The pressure of the spirit energy from the outer world would completely crush this mainland. By then, everyone did not need to continue fighting, as everyone would die. Look at the spirit energy of this mainland. Yi Qingtang told the Blood Moon Elder. Spirit energy? Confusion was etched the Blood Moon Elder's face, as he did not know what Yi Qingtang meant. He looked up instinctively. His expression changed drastically a moment later, and horror filled his wide eyes. This. The Blood Moon Elder trembled slightly. The spirit energy of this mainland is compressed rapidly and inflating outward. That's right. Yi Qingtang nodded her head. If this goes on, this mainland will definitely be unable to bear the pressure of the spirit energy and explode. The Blood Moon Elder was astonished. Once this mainland could not bear the pressure of the spirit energy and exploded, no one dreamed shall of leaving this place alive. The people of this mainland and the ancient Yu clan members would all die here. Blood Moon Elder naturally knew the reason behind the compression and expansion of the spirit energy. The spirit energy in this mainland was thin from the start, and this mainland was classified as a low-level mainland. Normally speaking, it could only withstand the aura of an ordinary young lord. However, with ancient Yu clan, Pagoda Sword Master, and those powerful ancient clans gathered at one place currently, all their forces, including the Pagoda Sword Master's Sword Dao willpower, had greatly surpassed the power that an Yin-Yang perfected Lord Realm could control, and even more so, the limit that this mainland could withstand. Now that all the excess force that this mainland could withstand exploded in one area, this was simply suicidal. Chapter 1157. The Spirit Energy Crisis 3. Just the thought of this gave the Blood Moon Elder goosebumps all over. He hollered immediately. Stop fighting, everyone! The voice of Blood Moon Elder's new body was shocking, and his shout was like a thunderous roar that pierced everyone's eardrums. As expected, both parties looked at the Blood Moon Elder after the shout. Noticing that everyone finally stopped fighting, the Blood Moon Elder hurriedly pointed to the sky. Look for yourselves. Everyone looked up, and what lay before them stunned them utterly. The clouds in the sky above them seemed to be burnt as a result of the maximum compression and outward expansion of spirit energy. Burnt clouds. Ultimate Elder was astonished. The Ultimate Elder and the Pagoda Sword Master were high-level figures and knew what was going on roughly after a slight inspection. If they continued the fight with Yu Ancient Clan, the spirit energy would be expanded to the maximum in no time, and the massive pressure released was sufficient to destroy this mainland. Given the scale of the explosion produced by the spirit energy, this mainland would completely disappear from the Earth's surface in at most 3 to 5 breaths' time. Moreover, in this extremely short span of time, even a holy venerate level figure who came here might not be able to escape this place alive. Similarly, people from the Yu Ancient Clan noticed the unusual phenomenon in the sky. Everyone stop! The green-robed Yu Tong, one of the 3 generals of ancient Yu Clan, shouted with a deep frown. Their martial skills had exceeded the limit that this low-level mainland could bear, and if they continued to fight, they would be unable to obtain the spiritual abode or even leave this place alive. Both parties did not dare to make a move recklessly. The main force of both parties had ordered to stop the fight, and the burnt clouds in the sky caused uneasiness. No one dared to take any rash and unconsidered actions. Everyone, you all have seen the situation. Pagoda Sword Master looked at the 3 generals of the ancient Yu clan and said, their powers had already exceeded the limit that this mainland could bear, and they were even gathered together. The originally perilous spirit energy of this mainland could no longer withstand the powers unleashed in the intense mass battle. If they continued the battle, the spirit energy of this mainland, and subsequently, the entire mainland would explode ultimately. All of them would die here. A one-eyed elderly of you ancient clan coldly said, "It is simple. Since we can't battle in the same place, we can split up the battlefield." Their objective for coming to this mainland was to obtain Yu Yun's spiritual abode and would definitely not put an end to their plan. On the other hand, the powerful figures of this mainland, with Ultimate Elder and Pagoda Swordmaster in the lead, would not sit idly and wait for death. This war was unavoidable, yet also could not continue in this way. Otherwise, both sides would be over. The only strategy now was to disperse the powers of the masses to prevent the suicidal act of an aggressive battle at one spot. The other two generals' eyes brightened at that suggestion. As long as the battlefield was spread out, the pressure from the war would naturally be dispersed. By then, such a circumstance would not happen. Yu Yun's spiritual abode must be obtained and had to be brought back to Yu ancient clan's headquarters no matter what. This was the do-or-die order given by the senior executives of the headquarters. "Just as you wish," the Pagoda Swordmaster said as he swiftly swept a gaze across the three generals. Under the circumstances, it was unrealistic to expect the ancient Yu clan to abandon their invasion and choose to leave, so they had no choice but to fight on. However, they were unable to gather in one spot, so they were forced to split up the battlefield. In the end, the land was divided into 3 zones. The eastern part of the mainland became the eastern battlefield. The northern part became the northern battlefield. The southern part became the southern battlefield. The Ultimate Elder assumed command of the eastern battlefield, the Pagoda Swordmaster of the northern battlefield, while the powerful cultivators of the ancient clan held the southern battlefield. "Go." Yi Qingtang looked at the Blood Moon Elder and said, the 3 main battlefields had been formed, and there would be no fighting here. Yi Qingtang wanted to leave before the ancient Yu clan noticed herself and the Blood Moon Elder. Although Blood Moon Elder had not yet been exposed, if he remained in the ancient Yu clan, he would die. He had no choice but to leave with Yi Qingtang. When he heard that, the Blood Moon Elder nodded. He threw Yi Qingtang onto his left shoulder and stepped out. He instantly vanished on the spot. The formation of the 3 main battlefields was not good news for the Ultimate Elder or Pagoda Swordmaster. Splitting the battlefield was equivalent to dividing their manpower and strength. The ancient Yu clan had no problem dividing their manpower and strength. The ancient Yu clan had many more powerful cultivators than this mainland. The more the powerful cultivators from this mainland were split up, the better it was for the clan. After half a day, the Blood Moon Elder's huge body suddenly appeared in the falling sky valley of the Nine Knights dynasty. Blood Moon Elder's appearance caused an uproar in the entire Nine Knights dynasty. They only relaxed when they finally realized that the Blood Moon Elder was a friend and not an enemy. Mo. When he saw that Yi Qingtang had returned, little Luo Shui ran out of the valley. He hugged Yi Qingtang's ankles and batted his eyelids at Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang smiled when she saw little Luo Shui running towards her on his short legs. She picked him up and hugged him. While he was in her embrace, little Luo Shui suddenly spotted the little white tiger in Yi Qingtang's arms. It was as if he had discovered a new world. His small white hand immediately caught hold of the little white tiger's ears. "If you were not so small." The little white tiger glared at little Luo Shui. "Has little Luo Shui been good?" Yi Qingtang put down Luo Shui and laughed softly. When he heard that, little Luo Shui held onto the little white tiger's ear while nodding at Yi Qingtang. Before long, perfected Xianshun, the Yi family, and the Si family all came out of the valley. Everyone was shocked to see the Blood Moon Elder's huge body. Yi Qingtang had no choice but to explain the circumstances to them. After hearing Yi Qingtang's explanation, everyone relaxed. Many Falling Sky Valley disciples surrounded the Blood Moon Elder and stared at him, as if studying his expression. "Qingtang, what's going on?" Perfected Qianqian looked at Yi Qingtang and asked. Yi Qingtang did not hide anything and explained all that had happened to them. Perfected Qianqian was very shocked to learn about the division of the battlefield. The Nine Knights dynasty was south of the mainland and was considered to be in the southern zone. Based on the division of the mainland's battlefield, it would be under the command of the ancient clan. Qingtang, are these powerful cultivators from the ancient clan the same as the ancient clan that came to our Falling Sky Valley previously? Perfected Qianqian looked at Yi Qingtang with a somewhat worried expression. Master, there is more than one ancient clan between the mountains and the clouds. The ancient clan controlling the southern war zone is not the same as the clan that came to Falling Sky Valley previously, said Yi Qingtang. The ancient clan that came to the Falling Sky Valley previously was the most powerful ancient clan in this mainland and had members who were 10th Heaven Yang Lords. However, in the Battle of the Falling Sky Valley, most of the powerful cultivators of that ancient clan had been killed by Divine King Luo Shui, so they were greatly weakened. However, the ancient clan holding the southern zone was an ancient clan hidden between the mountains and clouds and was different from the other ancient clan. Perfected Qianqian relaxed after hearing Yi Qingtang's explanation. At that moment, the Yi family members all sighed. The mainland's battlefield was divided into 3 zones. They were cultivators in the southern battlefield, but were too weak to fight the ancient Yu clan. Although they were cultivators of this mainland, they had no way of protecting their homeland once it was invaded. They were not even worthy of entering the battlefield. Even Yi Qingtang was somewhat worried. Even without dividing up the powerful cultivators of this mainland, the Pagoda Sword Master, the Ultimate Elder, and a Master of the Ancient Clan could hold their own against the 3 generals. The extremely powerful cultivators, at the same level as the generals, were about equal in numbers. But below the rank of general, their numbers differed vastly. The vast difference in numbers meant that this mainland would die slowly. The Ultimate Elder and Pagoda Sword Master, and even the Master of the Ancient Clan, knew this, but they had no other recourse. If things carried on like that, before long, the 3 battlefields would slowly be lost. Eldest young lady, what should we do? Daoist Zijin looked at Yi Qingtang and asked worriedly. Besides the powerful cultivators from the hidden ancient clan and the ancient Yu clan, cultivators at the level of Daoist Zijin would normally be considered the most powerful cultivators in this mainland, second only to the 3 main forces. But with the changes that occurred in this mainland, the ancient Yu clan's invasion, the Pagoda Sword Master's return, the Ultimate Elder's appearance, the hidden ancient clan resurfacing, their status was reduced to nothing. They were not even worthy of being used as cannon fodder. Yi Qingtang frowned slightly and did not hurry to answer. Based on Yi Qingtang and the Blood Moon Elder's power, they could be considered the most powerful cultivators in this mainland. However, they were unable to change the tide of battle. The ancient Yu clan was just too powerful and too numerous. Also, there was still the powerful commander-in-chief who had not yet made an appearance. In the long run, how long could this mainland last? A few days? A few months? Or even half a year? No matter how long it lasted, the conclusion was inevitable. This heralded the end of this mainland's hopes. Yi Qingtang took a deep breath. Although she felt helpless to change the situation, at that moment, her gaze swept across everyone in the Falling Sky Valley, and she spoke decisively. I will protect all of you until the last possible moment. In her previous life, she had no cares or worries. She had left this mainland early without knowing what kind of crisis it experienced in the end. Today, the people she cared about the most were all in this mainland. Her relatives, her master. Even though there was no hope, she would guard them all to the very end. When they heard that, everyone quavered. Although Yi Qingtang had not spoken loudly, each one of her decisive words reached their ears. It was just a simple sentence, but under the circumstances, this promise was worth its weight in gold. Qingtang, come with me. Perfected Qianqian looked at Yi Qingtang and spoke suddenly. Yi Qingtang immediately handed little Luo Shui over to her father, Yi Ling, and followed Perfected Qianqian. Yi Qingtang and perfected Xianxian soon came to a desolate place. Qingtang, I have discovered something. Perfected Xianxian checked to ensure that there was no one about before speaking. Yi Qingtang was taken aback when she saw perfected Zuanshan's expression. She did not know what had happened to cause perfected Xianxian to act so mysteriously. Master, may I ask what has happened? Yi Qingtang vaguely sensed that perfected Xianxian had something important to tell her. Perfected Xianxian pondered for a moment before saying, Qingtang, I suppose you know about little Yu Yun's background? Although she did not know why perfected Xianxian had suddenly mentioned little Yu Yun, Yi Qingtang was naturally aware of her background. Little Yu Yun was created from the power of the extraordinary lattice spiritual abode. The source of her power was the spiritual abode. Of course, this was merely Yi Qingtang's guess. But no matter what, little Yu Yun had some close connection with the extraordinary lady. Yi Qingtang even suspected that little Yu Yun was the extraordinary lattice reincarnation. Qingtang, they'll just speak bluntly. You may not believe me, because even I find it hard to believe it myself. Perfected Xianxian looked at Yi Qingtang mysteriously. When she saw the serious perfected Xianxian looking so mysterious, Yi Qingtang could not help but laugh softly. Master, what's the big secret? Stop being mysterious. Qingtang, yesterday I discovered by chance that little Yu Yun can control the spirit energy in this mainland. Perfected Xianxian finally blurted out what he had seen and heard. Yi Qingtang's expression changed when she heard perfected Zuanshan's words. To be able to control the spirit energy in this mainland, what kind of concept was that? It was akin to being a true god. Master, is that true? Yi Qingtang was somewhat skeptical. Absolutely. Perfected Xianxian nodded repeatedly. Qingtang, you should know that we martial cultivators basically rely on spirit energy. The difference between powerful and weak cultivators is the ability to control and absorb spirit energy. To become a powerful cultivator, one must be situated in a place rich in spirit energy and physically absorb this spirit energy to achieve breakthroughs to the next level. If little Yu Yun can control spirit energy, then she can. As perfected Xianxian spoke, a trace of shock surfaced in Yi Qingtang's eyes. Of course, Yi Qingtang understood this principle. If little Yu Yun could really control spirit energy, then in some sense, she could create gods. I understand. Yi Qingtang muttered softly to herself. Little Yu Yun and the extraordinary lady had some intimate connection, and this mainland was created from the extraordinary lattice spiritual abode. It made sense that little Yu Yun could control the spirit energy in this mainland. It was as if the extraordinary lady herself was present. A moment later, Yi Qingtang followed perfected Xianxian to the pavilion. Little Yu Yun was in her room. Little Yu Yun's eyes brightened the moment she saw Yi Qingtang. However, she seemed unwilling to acknowledge perfected Xianxian and pouted. When he saw that, perfected Xianxian looked rather embarrassed. Little Yu Yun, are you still angry with grandfather? When perfected Xianxian saw that little Yu Yun could control spirit energy, he had deliberately asked little Yu Yun to repeatedly perform her actions. In the end, little Yu Yun had grown impatient and refused to respond to perfected Xianxian. Haha, little Yu Yun, don't be angry. Grandfather has brought you a treat. Perfected Xianxian laughed happily and strode forward. He took out a stick of candy from somewhere. Chapter 1161, Supplying Spirit Energy, 1. Little Yu Yun stared unblinkingly at the candy with her large black eyes. Her little tongue greedily licked her small lips. She waved her small hands, walked over to take the candy from perfected Zuanshan's hands, and smiled brilliantly. Yi Qingtang was rendered speechless by her master's ease in coaxing children. When he saw that Yi Qingtang's expression looked rather strange, perfected Xianxian laughed in embarrassment. I once had a daughter. I have some experience in coaxing children. Her master was certainly multi-talented. Little Yu Yun held the candy that perfected Xianxian had handed her and licked it with satisfaction. Her little face beamed with a sweet smile. When he saw that little Yu Yun did not seem to be angry anymore, perfected Xianxian gently coaxed her. Little Yu Yun, can you manipulate the spirit energy once more for grandfather? Little Yu Yun tilted her head to look at perfected Xianxin. Her large black eyes blinked. Then, she glanced at the candy in her hand that was mostly gone. She stuffed the remaining piece in her mouth so that her little cheeks bulged. She clapped her small hands and, with her cheeks still bulging, nodded at perfected Xianxin. Perfected Xianxin could not help but laugh softly at little Yu Yun. He involuntarily rubbed her small head and said gently, "Little Yu Yun is such a good girl. Grandfather will bring her to eat something nice later." When little Yu Yun heard that, her eyes immediately brightened, and she nodded vigorously. Yi Qingtang could not help but giggle at the scene. If she had not seen it with her own eyes, she would not have imagined that the usually dignified perfected Xianxin was so good at coaxing children. It looked like perfected Xianxin was getting along well with little Yu Yun. However, little Yu Yun was just too easy to coax. A stick of candy, and she was content. Perfected Xianxin and Yi Qingtang swiftly brought little Yu Yun out of the house. "Go ahead," perfected Xianxin gently patted little Yu Yun's small head. Little Yu Yun batted her eyelids and stepped forward. The next second, little Yu Yun's eyes slowly turned green, and an indescribable aura surged forth from her body. In a split second, the spirit energy in the void sank. An immense amount of spirit energy visibly accumulated in the void above. The density of the spirit energy far exceeded the limit of this mainland. "This is a miracle." Perfected Xianxin looked at the spirit energy in the void above. Although he had seen it once, he could not help but exclaim again. When Yi Qingtang saw this amazing scene, a trace of wonder involuntarily surfaced in her eyes. This mainland was created from the extraordinary lattice spiritual abode. In a sense, in this mainland, the extraordinary lady was equivalent to a creator god. It was entirely possible that she possessed a supreme power that allowed her to control the spirit energy. Further, Lil Yu Yun had some intricate connection with the extraordinary lady. Although her ability to control this mainland's spirit energy was beyond Yi Qingtang's expectations, it was also within reason. When she saw this scene, an idea suddenly surfaced in Yi Qingtang's mind. If little Yu Yun could send spirit energy into a cultivator's body, little Yu Yun heard Yi Qingtang murmur. Little Yu Yun tilted her head and glanced at Yi Qingtang. Her eyes flickered. Then, she looked at perfected Xianxin as if she had suddenly thought of something. Her eyes flashed. In the next second, the extremely dense spirit energy in the void above immediately rushed into Falling Sky Valley. Yi Qingtang and perfected Xianxin were shocked to see the dense spirit energy suddenly rush towards them. But before they understood what was going on, the dense spirit energy that was pouring down swiftly shrouded perfected Xianxin. The spirit energy that enclosed perfected Xianxin suddenly rushed into his body at great speed. Yi Qingtang, who was watching from the side, saw huge amounts of spirit energy rushing into perfected Zuanshan's body. Her eyes widened involuntarily. As huge amounts of spirit energy rushed in, perfected Zuanshan's martial ability increased with unimaginable speed in the span of a few short breaths. Perfected Xianxin looked shocked, and his face was filled with disbelief. "I've broken through. How is that possible?" He had been at the third heaven of Yin-Yang perfected Lord for many years. Many years ago, his martial ability had reached a bottleneck. However, within the span of a few short breaths, he had broken through to the fifth heaven of Yin-Yang perfected Lord. Before perfected Xianxin could finish speaking, he looked shocked again. Yin-Yang perfected Lord. Sixth heaven, what is this? In an instant, his ability had increased by another level. Perfected Xianxin was unable to believe what was happening. It was as if he was in a dream. However, his breakthrough in cultivation level was real. As perfected Zuanshan's cultivation level broke through to the Yang Lord realm of Yin-Yang perfected Lord seventh heaven, Yi Qingtang keen senses perceived that perfected Zuanshan's face was starting to turn pale, and his entire body began to shudder violently. Little Yu Yun stopped for a while. Yi Qingtang flew over to little Yu Yun and spoke hurriedly. Little Yu Yun looked at Yi Qingtang in bewilderment, but obediently nodded her head and dispersed the spirit energy that surrounded perfected Xianxun. Just as little Yu Yun dispersed the spirit energy, perfected Xianxun stumbled backward for a few meters before he could finally stand firmly. He was completely ashen and covered with large drops of sweat. "Master, are you all right?" Yi Qingtang looked at perfected Xianxun worriedly. "No big deal, just..." Perfected Xianxun panted heavily and shook his head. "I've reached the limit of my ability to absorb spirit energy." Yi Qingtang only relaxed after hearing perfected Zuanshan's words. It looked like little Yu Yun could indeed control the spirit energy in this mainland. Also, little Yu Yun was entirely capable of sending spirit energy into a cultivator's body, causing their martial ability to improve greatly in a short span of time. Because of Yu Yun's curse in this mainland, the highest realm that cultivators could reach was Yin Yang Perfected Lord. However, breaking through to the 9th and 10th heaven of Yang Lord had nothing to do with spirit energy. Instead, one had to open an iron door in one's dantian. Hence, little Yu Yun's use of spirit energy was limited to helping a cultivator break through to the peak of the 8th heaven of Yin Yang Perfected Lord. Also, a cultivator's tolerance was limited. Not all cultivators could tolerate the impact of the spirit energy that would bring them to the peak of the 8th heaven of Yin Yang Perfected Lord within a short span of time. A cultivator's body was like a vessel, while spirit energy was like water in the vessel. If the rate at which the spirit energy was being supplied could be carefully controlled, then a cultivator could swiftly increase his capabilities within a short span of time. However, once the supply of spirit energy exceeded the limit of what cultivator's body could tolerate, the consequences would be dire. Whether it was a blessing or a curse would depend on whether the spirit energy supplied exceeded what the cultivator could tolerate. For example, after perfected Xianshan broke through to the peak of the 7th heaven of Yin Yang Perfected Lord, his body was unable to tolerate any more spirit energy. That was his limit. But if he was forced to continually absorb spirit energy for further breakthroughs, he would explode and die. "Grandfather!" When little Yu Yun saw how pale perfected Xianshan was, she thought that she had done something wrong. She pursed her lips, and her eyes were misty with self-reproach. "Little Yu Yun is a good girl. Grandfather is fine. Grandfather is so grateful to little Yu Yun." Perfected Zuanshan's eyes were emotional. He had never imagined that he could become a Yang Lord in this lifetime. When she saw little Yu Yun's self-reproachful look, Yi Qingtang could not help but chuckle. She hugged little Yu Yun and spoke to her gently. "Little Yu Yun has done very well. Grandfather is fine." Little Yu Yun looked at Yi Qingtang with some bewilderment, and then looked at perfected Xianxun before slowly nodding. "I really must thank little Yu Yun. I have actually managed to become a Yang Lord." Perfected Xianxun was all smiles. If he had not experienced it himself, he would never have believed that he could have gone from the 3rd heaven of Yin Yang Perfected Lord to the peak of the 7th heaven of Yin Yang Perfected Lord to become a Yang Lord within half a minute. It felt like a dream or a fantasy. It was surreal. However, perfected Xianxun swiftly suppressed his emotions and turned to look at Yi Qingtang. "Qingtang, since little Yu Yun can control spirit energy and send it into my body, that means that she can do the same to create Yang Lords." "That's right. From a certain perspective, that is certainly true." Yi Qingtang nodded. "In that case, in our Falling Sky Valley, including the Yi and Si families, if we all become Yang Lords, no, if everyone in this mainland becomes a Yang Lord, then we will have nothing to fear from the ancient Yu clan of Central Mainland." Perfected Xianxun became more and more agitated when he thought of this possibility. When she saw perfected Zuanshan's agitated look, Yi Qingtang shook her head and said, "Theoretically, that's true, but it is impossible in reality." "It is impossible in reality?" When he heard Yi Qingtang's words, perfected Xianxun was taken aback. "Why, Master, you could break through to the realm of Yang Lord because your martial talents and mental state were sufficient. Yi Qingtang said seriously. Even so, you reach the limit at the peak of the yin yang seventh heaven. If you had forced yourself to break through to the eighth heaven, it will be very dangerous, and you might explode. It is the same for everyone else. For an ordinary disciple, their limit would be a yin lord like you. If they were forced to break through to the level of yang lord, they might be in danger. They cannot become yang lords unless they all have a superior martial talent and mental states. Also, ordinary people who have never cultivated before and Khanate level cultivators cannot tolerate too much spirit energy. Although this method was good, it was limited by the cultivators themselves. Perfected Xianxin understood after hearing Yi Qingtang's explanation. An ordinary person who had never cultivated before could not tolerate spirit energy filling their bodies, while those at the Khanate level were not at a sufficiently high level of cultivation. They had not even reached the threshold of martial arts cultivation and could not tolerate too much spirit energy. For them, becoming yang lords was a mere fantasy. When he realized that perfected Xianxin could not help but feel disappointed. Chapter 1164 The Light of Hope 1. As she watched the joy fade from perfected Zhuangqin's face, Yi Qingtang said, "But no matter what, little Yu Yun can still create a batch of powerful cultivators for us." The mainland was currently divided into 3 main battlefields. They already lacked powerful cultivators, but now the situation was worsened by the division. The ancient Yu clan was different. They had plenty of powerful cultivators, so they were not greatly affected by the division of the battlefield. If little Yu Yun could create more powerful cultivators, they might have a chance. In that case, let us quickly ask the 12 peak masters and Daoist Zijin to receive spirit energy from little Yu Yun. Perfected Xianxun said. But another thought came to his mind, and he felt something was amiss. So, he changed the topic and spoke carefully. Actually, we shouldn't act precipitately. We first have to ascertain their loyalty to this mainland. Otherwise, they might betray this mainland after becoming yang lords and join the ancient Yu clan. Then, we would have strengthened the enemy instead. As the ancient Yu clan aggressively swept through the land, there would certainly be some traitors among the major forces. Considering the current circumstances, perfected Xianxin had to be cautious and prepared for the worst. Yi Qingtang had also considered perfected Zhuangqin's worries. But how were they to prove something like loyalty at a time like that? One must not doubt one's subordinates. If one doubted them, then they should not be entrusted with anything. Yi Qingtang understood this principle. Master, there presently is no good method of proving the depth of their loyalty to this mainland. But I think that since everyone grew up in this mainland and their relatives and friends are all here, if we should lose the battle, everyone will die. I believe everyone understands this principle. There is hope only in victory. No one will willingly go over to the enemy who has come to destroy our home, said Yi Qingtang. Of course, it would be best if every person's loyalty could be individually tested. But at the moment, they lack the time to do so. Furthermore, Yi Qingtang also believed they knew that if they went over to the ancient Yu clan, they would be mere lackeys in the eyes of the clan. Who would willingly be a lackey? Sigh. I hope so. Perfected Xianxin heaved a sigh. After some discussion between perfected Xianxin and Yin Yang perfected Lord, they summoned the 12 peak masters. Yi Qingtang also gathered Daoist Zijin, elder by Kuei, and all the Yin Yang perfected lords in the Yi and Si families. When everyone had congregated, they noticed that perfected Zhuangqin's ability had already increased to the realm of Yang Lord. The last time they saw perfected Xianxin, he had been a mere Yin Yang perfected Lord. Third heaven. How had he managed to become a Yang Lord in the span of a few hours? Everyone was perplexed and shocked. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, they would not have believed it. When perfected Xianxin saw that everyone was present, he did not delay further and explained to everyone how his ability had increased so rapidly. But he deliberately hid the fact that little Yu Yun could control the spirit energy in this mainland. This matter was just too unbelievable. Also, Perfected Xianxin and Yi Qingtang were worried that some might have evil designs on little Yu Yun if they found out about her special ability. However, even after hiding little Yu Yun's role in this matter, the issue was still shocking. Valley Master Xianxin, are you saying you have a method to make us Yang Lords? Daoist Jin was shocked. That's right. Perfected Xianxin nodded with a serious expression. Qingtang found a Dharma treasure that can control spirit energy. Afterward, Perfected Xianxin peered at Yi Qingtang discreetly. This was the explanation that he and Yi Qingtang discussed earlier on. After hearing what Perfected Xianxin said, Elder Bai Kuei and the rest looked at Yi Qingtang in astonishment. Control this mainland's spirit energy? Yi Qingtang nodded and agreed, according to the priorly agreed explanation with Perfected Xianxin. Yes, Holy Lady, control this mainland's spirit energy. In this case, we can create a god. The Blood Moon Elder's towering body approached them with great strides, causing thunderous rumbles. Look how much spirit energy can this huge and unrivaled body of mine digest. In this case, I can become an emperor-level figure. No, I can become a god. Blood Moon Elder looked at Yi Qingtang in exhilaration. Holy Lady, don't waste any more time. Give me all the spirit energy to digest. By then, I can crush the Yu ancient clan into pieces with a single punch. Give it all to you? That is too much from you. Where are you from, and who are you to talk so arrogantly? What do you mean by giving all to you? Can't we become powerful figures and protect our homeland? Eldest young lady, who is this monster? Before Yi Qingtang could explain, the Blood Moon Elder's lips twitched. Am a monster? What a joke. My unrivaled body can absorb tons of spirit energy, and it is nothing difficult to be an emperor-level figure by then. What do you all want to absorb spirit energy with your ant-like bodies for? It's simply a waste. Also, I'm not a monster. I am an elder of the Blood Moon sect, and I possessed this body from an ancient Yu clan elder. Pfft. An elder of Blood Moon sect. Big deal. Yeah, I don't see your Blood Moon sect coming to protect our homeland. You're big-sized, so you're great? There's so many emperor-level figures, but there's barely anyone with a body like yours. Yi Qingtang was having a splitting headache from the quarrel, and she frowned immediately. Quiet. Do you all hear it? Told you all to shut up. The Blood Moon Elder snickered. I want you to keep quiet. Yi Qingtang shot a look at Blood Moon Elder. The voice of Blood Moon Elder's current body was like thunder that hurt everyone's eardrums, and no one could withstand it. You're already at the peak of Yang Lord 8th Heaven, and this is the limit that this mainland can withstand. No matter how much spirit energy you absorb, you will only be a Yang Lord on this mainland. It is impossible to become an emperor-level figure, much less a god. Everyone has a different limit for the absorption of spirit energy, and absorbing spirit energy by force will only result in death. Yi Qingtang looked at the Blood Moon Elder and poured cold water on the Blood Moon Elder, waking him up from his beautiful dream of becoming an emperor-level figure. What? This? Blood Moon Elder was surprised by Yi Qingtang's explanation. Daoist Jin, Elder Bai Kuei, and the rest wanted to laugh when they saw the Blood Moon Elder's expression. This person was truly greedy to want to become an emperor-level figure, and even a god. The spirit energy on this mainland was limited. Becoming an emperor-level figure required the absorption of spirit energy, coordination of a corresponding mental state, and even some mysterious enlightenment. On top of that, all of those would only give a tiny chance of becoming an emperor-level figure. The Blood Moon Elder sighed immediately. After everything, he could not absorb spirit energy and was agitated for nothing. Chapter 1166. The Light of Hope 3. Very quickly, Perfected Xianxin returned to a small pavilion not far away and instructed her to control the spirit energy in the room to prevent others from seeing it. Before long, spirit energy rapidly condensed in the air above, and it was exceptionally rich. Looking at the spirit energy, Elder Bai Kuei exclaimed repeatedly. He was going to be the first person out of everyone to feel this power. Elder Bai Kuei, you must tell me when you've reached your limit, or else the consequences will be dire. Yi Qingtang warned once again. Eldest young lady, I understand. Let's begin. Elder Bai Kuei took a deep breath and said with a nod. As Elder Bai Kuei finished his sentence, the spirit energy in the air rapidly enshrouded him, and strings of spirit energy surged into his body. With just a few breaths, Elder Bai Kuei's martial realm advanced from Yin-Yang perfected Lord Third Heaven to Fourth Heaven and subsequently to Fifth Heaven before everyone's eyes. When he reached the early stage of Eighth Heaven, Elder Bai Kuei was ghastly white. Unable to bear the ripping pain that his body was experiencing, he shouted loudly, "Eldest young lady, enough!" Then, the spirit energy that enveloped Elder Bai Kuei faded away immediately. At this instant, everyone was utterly dumbfounded when they looked at Elder Bai Kuei, who was in the early stage of Yin-Yang perfected Lord Eighth Heaven. Although they learned from perfected Xianshun that Yi Qingtang had a Dharma treasure that could control spirit energy, they still felt inexplicable amazement when they personally saw Elder Bai Kuei advancing from Yin-Yang perfected Lord Third Heaven to Yin-Yang perfected Lord Eighth Heaven. Oh my God, this is simply an insane power. Daoist Zijin walked over to Elder Bai Kuei and shuddered when he felt Elder Bai Kuei's Yang Lord aura. Yet, he could not help but be exhilarated. In this case, eldest young lady would definitely help him become a Yang Lord. Eldest young lady. A Yi family branch master cupped his fists and asked Yi Qingtang. Perfected Xianshun is at the peak of Yin-Yang perfected Lord Seventh Heaven. But why is Elder Bai Kuei at Yin-Yang perfected Lord Eighth Heaven? Yi Qingtang explained. The absorption of spirit energy is based on the cultivator's own physique, martial talent, and mental state. You mean that a cultivator is like a holder, and every holder is different. Some holders can absorb more spirit energy, while others will absorb less spirit energy. The Yi family branch master was in thought. That's right. Yi Qingtang nodded her head. So whether we can become a Yang Lord still depends on whether we can absorb even more energy, Daoist Zijin said. The Blood Moon Elder was rather uninterested in their discussion. How great would it be if he could absorb spirit energy as well? The peak of Yin-Yang perfected Lord Eighth Heaven was the peak of this mainland. Although Yin-Yang perfected Lord Ninth Heaven and Tenth Heaven both belonged to the Yin-Yang perfected Lord realm, these two realms could not be achieved by relying on absorbing spirit energy. When little Luo Shui was just reincarnated, Yi Qingtang once felt the breath of Yin-Yang perfected Lord Tenth Heaven and had a slight understanding. There was an iron door at a cultivator's dantian. If this iron door could be opened, one could advance to Yin-Yang perfected Lord Ninth Heaven and even the Tenth Heaven. Yi Qingtang once tried to open this iron door in her dantian, but no matter how hard she tried or what method she used, she had no idea where the exact location of this iron door in her dantian was, much less opening it. Chapter 1167. The Light of Hope. 4. In this world, the number of cultivators corresponded to the number of powerful figures with attainments. However, how many people could advance to Yin-Yang perfected Lord Ninth Heaven and even Tenth Heaven? These were known as the legendary realms, as almost no one could enter it. If Yi Qingtang could advance to Yin-Yang perfected Lord Tenth Heaven with the injection of spirit energy, the Yu ancient clan would not be a threat at all. However, at this instant, the spirit energy in the air condensed once again and enveloped Daoist Zijin in no time. Under everyone's nervous watch, Daoist Zijin paled and shouted to stop after 10 breaths. Peak of Yang Lord Seventh Heaven. Daoist Zijin's eyes were filled with disbelief and excitement when he inspected his realm. Everyone there had never thought that they could hope to become a Yang Lord in their lives. Thank you, eldest young lady. Thank you so much. Daoist Zijin walked to Yi Qingtang and bowed. Yi Qingtang, however, was very clear that she was not the one who allowed Daoist Zijin to advance, but little Yu Yun. However, in consideration of little Yu Yun's safety, she could not be seen. Thus, Yi Qingtang could only represent little Yu Yun to accept their thanks. With Taoist Zijin's success in the lead, the others were filled with anticipation and were eager to try. Without wasting time, Yi Qingtang continued to let little Yu Yun control spirit energy in the dark and inject spirit energy into others. Under the continuous injection of spirit energy, 8 out of the 12 peak masters had advanced to the Yang Lord realm. As for the remaining 4 people, their bodies could no longer bear any further injection of spirit energy and only managed to break through to the peak of Yin Yang, perfected Lord Sixth Heaven. Despite so, those 4 peak masters were satisfied as well. If they could survive in this war, they should be able to reach the Yang Lord realm if they cultivated for the rest of their lives. Time ticked by, and more people's skills were raised. In the evening, perfected Xianxian walked out from the small pavilion and whispered in Yi Qingtang's ears. Little Yu Yun is tired and cannot continue to control the spirit energy. Yi Qingtang nodded slightly. Little Yu Yun was already doing sufficiently well, and there was no need to hurry to finish in one day now that they had completely grasped this method. Yi Qingtang turned to look at the remaining people who had not received the injection of spirit energy and said, I am tired from controlling the Dharma treasure. It'll continue after a day of rest. You've worked hard, eldest young lady. A few Sea family Yin Yang perfected lord figures immediately thanked Yi Qingtang with cupped fists. After everyone left, the Blood Moon Elder looked at Yi Qingtang with an odd expression. Holy lady, when did you obtain a Dharma treasure that can control spirit energy? Why'd I not know? The Blood Moon Elder had been following Yi Qingtang, but was unaware that Yi Qingtang owned such a Dharma treasure. He had already found it strange when he heard Yi Qingtang saying this, but he was not a fool. Since Yi Qingtang said this publicly, he naturally could not ask her in front of everyone. Seeing that everyone had left, Yi Qingtang was candid and explained the situation to the Blood Moon Elder. A light broke in upon the Blood Moon Elder. Yet, exactly because of this, the Blood Moon Elder was somehow rather moved by Yi Qingtang's decision to tell him about everything. The Blood Moon Elder was aware of the importance of this matter, and the fact that Yi Qingtang did not hide anything from him clearly showed her trust in him. He would definitely not disappoint her. Holy lady, it's dark already. What do you think is suitable for me to stay? The Blood Moon Elder took a deep breath and asked Yi Qingtang where to stay in. Yi Qingtang sized up Blood Moon Elder's huge body and was speechless for the moment. How about you find a random mountain valley or something? The Blood Moon Elder's new body was too huge, and there was no room in Falling Sky Valley where he could stay in. All right. Blood Moon Elder was slightly dumbfounded, and he left helplessly. While this new body was powerful, it was rather troublesome in his day-to-day activities. After the Blood Moon Elder left, Yi Qingtang headed to the small pavilion alone. Little Yu Yun was already fast asleep on Yi Qingtang's bed. Knowing that little Yu Yun worked hard today, Yi Qingtang did not wake her up for her to have a good rest. Over the 2 days, there was a limit to the time in which little Yu Yun controlled the spirit energy, and the process of creating powerful figures slowed down. In this period of time, from the South Battlefield, there had been continuous news of the ancient clan's defeat. In less than half a month, the formidable Heavens dynasty and the surrounding land had been completely dominated by the ancient clan, and it was said that more than 10 young lords from the ancient clan were killed. The North and East battlefield were guarded by Ultimate Elder and Pagoda Swordmaster respectively, and the situation was considered to be in control at the moment, unlike the South battlefield, which was close to a complete defeat. In reality, it was not that the mainland's obscure ancient clan was weak. It was just that the ancient clan greatly valued little Yu Yun, who was in Falling Sky Valley of the Nine Knights dynasty. Thus, they increased the deployment and offense capabilities in the South battlefield. The next morning, Peerless School's sect master paid a visit to Falling Sky Valley personally. The ancient clan wishes to invite Miss Yi to join the South battlefield. The current situation in the South battlefield is not optimistic. The Peerless School sect master was donned in a green robe and was about 60 years old. Standing at the lower end of the main hall, he looked at Yi Qingtang not far away and sighed softly. A Peerless School warden who headed to Falling Sky Valley was killed, and then revived by Divine King Luo Shui previously. And the Peerless School sect master learned a Falling Sky Valley situation from that warden. What he was more surprised about was that one of Perfected Zuanshan's little disciple was already a young lord at such a young age. Now that he met her today, she was indeed impressive. Yi Qingtang looked at the Peerless School sect master for a second. After remaining silent for a while, she finally spoke. My master, Perfected Zuanshan's daughter, died in the hands of your Peerless School disciples. The Peerless School sect master's expression changed when he heard that. From afar, an icy glint and sadness appeared in Perfected Zuanshan's eyes. Back then, Perfected Zuanshan's daughter had a stunning appearance and was known as Nine Knights Dynasty's top beauty. When the Peerless School disciples failed at courting her, she was cruelly humiliated and then killed. Perfected Xianxin had never forgotten and could not forget about this incident. If not for the fact that the current mainland was invaded by outsiders, Perfected Xianxin would become a young lord, would definitely not leave the matter at that, and would definitely fight it out with Peerless School. However, given the current situation, Peerless School also belonged to one of the main combat forces in the South battlefield, and the death of any one young lord was a heavy loss to this mainland. I did hear about this matter. The Peerless School sect master nodded hesitantly after a long while and said, however, in the eyes of Peerless School, the Peerless School was superior and represented absolute authority in the Nine Knights Dynasty's land. As such, the Peerless School sect master did not care about it and had never respected Falling Sky Valley. But today, Falling Sky Valley was not like before. Let's not talk about him today. How does Peerless School intend to give Falling Sky Valley an explanation? Yi Qingtang said coldly. I understand. Peerless School sect master looked behind. Two Peerless School senior executives dragged a young man who was about 30 years old into the main hall. Valley Master Xianxun, this is the murderer of your daughter. He was only a disciple in Peerless School back then. He is past the age for disciples, and his performance is pretty good, so he became a warden in Peerless School. I brought him here to Falling Sky Valley today for you to punish him however you want, Peerless School sect master said. The Peerless School did not care for a mere warden. What the Peerless School minded was just their face. Handing this warden to Falling Sky Valley was equivalent to telling the world that the Peerless School yielded to the Falling Sky Valley. However, the current situation was very unique. The South battlefield had fallen into an extremely disadvantageous position. Should this continue on, Peerless School would definitely be annihilated. Moreover, the Yu ancient clan had already begun invading the Nine Knights Dynasty's land. Furthermore, the Peerless School was at fault for this incident from the start. Yi Qingtang sized up that young warden and then looked at Perfected Xianxin. She was very clear that regardless of the conflicts and grudges between Falling Sky Valley and Peerless School, neither party should blow up at the other in such a special period. Perfected Xianxin was naturally aware of the current circumstance as well. Since Peerless School was willing to hand over that disciple, it was considered their act of sincerity, and Perfected Xianxin would not hold onto the past matter. Immediately, Perfected Xianxin walked forward and arrived beside that young male. The young male trembled slightly and looked at Perfected Xianxin in fear. Swoosh! Without uttering a word, Perfected Xianxin struck his palm out and crushed the young male's skull with his palm force. Looking at the young man who tragically died before him, the rage that Perfected Xianxin had been repressing for years seemed to dissipate at this moment. No matter what, he personally avenged his daughter, Valley Master Xianxun. We are extremely regretful of the incident back then. If this mainland can be safe and the enemies are chased away, my Peerless School will definitely give you a satisfying compensation. The Peerless School sect master looked at Perfected Xianxun and said. Perfected Xianxun shook his head. Forget about the compensation. His daughter had already died, and however much compensation was unable to retrieve the situation. Now, his daughter's murderer was personally killed by him, and he did not wish to continue pursuing or mentioning this matter. After seeing that Perfected Xianxun had completely calmed down, Dao Zijin told the Peerless School sect master, tell us about the situation in the South Battlefield. The South Battlefield is guarded by the master of the obscure ancient clan, but the ancient clan increased the deployment of powerful figures into the South Battlefield. It is difficult for us to resist them. The formidable Heavens dynasty is currently lost. Peerless School, Phantom Valley, and Biming Manor suffered heavy losses, and it is the same for the ancient clan, causing parts of the Nine Knights dynasty to be seized as well. The Peerless School sect master could not help but sigh after informing them of the situation. Perfected Xianxin had never witnessed the ancient clan's prowess before. Thus, he was unclear. However, if they could be so powerful that both Pagoda Sword Master and Ultimate Elder could not do much against them, they must be extremely powerful. Very difficult, Yi Qingtang said honestly. The situation of the South Battlefield was not optimistic, and it could even be said to be the most dangerous battlefield out of the three battlefields. It was already very hard for the ancient clan master, Peerless School, and Biming Manor to resist until now. Although Yi Qingtang did not wish to boost other people's morale and reduce one's own courage, the fact was such, and there was nothing they could do. However, although they were unable to defeat the ancient clan, the participation of the Falling Sky Valley would definitely slow down the ancient clan's invasion, and there may be a turn in the situation in this period of time. In reality, Yi Qingtang had already made preparations to participate in the war from the start. Letting little Yu Yun raise everyone's skills was in preparation for this. However, she never expected the South Battlefield situation to be so severe, and its tide of defeat was earlier than she predicted. Given the current situation, even if the Peerless School sect master did not come forward personally, she would still participate in the war. The entire mainland was at stake, and Yi Qingtang would definitely not cower. 2 days later, with little Yu Yun's strength, a batch of Yin Yang perfected lords was produced in Falling Sky Valley again. The majority of them were the younger generation of the Yi family disciples. However, the disciple skills were lacking as compared to the senior executives. Most of them were between Yin Lord 5th Heaven and 6th Heaven, and only a few top talents in the Yi family were Yang Lords. For the senior executives, such as the Yi family clan master, Yi Ling, and Si family clan master Si, their martial foundations were too weak, and their martial talents were ordinary. Thus, it was difficult for them to become powerful figures, even with little Yu Yun controlling the spirit energy. Over this period of time, Yi Qingtang also had discussions with Absolute Monarch of Heaven and the others from Central Mainland. This war concerned their safety, and they were originally from the Central Mainland, which meant that their skills were greater than the Falling Sky Valley and Yi family masses. As such, Yi Qingtang suggested for them to be responsible for investigating the war situation of the Yu Ancient Clan, and especially on their commander. The Yu Ancient Clan commander had not shown up now, and no one knew how his skills were. The Absolute Monarch of Heaven and the rest were most suited to investigate this. Everyone hit off with Yi Qingtang instantly and left the valley to investigate at once. 2 days later, Yi Qingtang headed to Peerless School to look for the sect master and told him to bring her to the headquarters of the South Battlefield. The Peerless School sect master immediately led Yi Qingtang to the South Battlefield headquarters quickly. The headquarters of the South Battlefield. Peerless School sect master led Yi Qingtang into the main hall. Most of the people in the hall were young lords of the ancient clan, and each of them was extremely powerful. In the secular part of this mainland, there were barely any powerful figures. Apart from Ultimate Elder and Pagoda Sword Master, the real powerful figures were in the ancient clan. If not for the urgent situation that the mainland was facing now, the obscure hidden clan would definitely not show up. However, despite such, they were on the losing ground when they encountered the ancient clan of the central mainland. A white-haired elderly was seated on the host's seat in the main hall. That elderly was the master of the ancient clan and was also the presiding general of the South Battlefield. Although this elderly's skills could not be compared to that of Divine King Luo Shui and the powerful ancient figure whom Divine King Luo Shui killed, it was still extraordinary. This is Yi Qingtang. Peerless School Sect Master looked at the ancient clan master and said. The elderly nodded slightly and sized up Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang became a young lord at such a young age and was indeed special. However, in the obscure ancient clans between the mountains and seas, people like Yi Qingtang were not considered rare. There was an even younger, yet formidable young lord in the obscure ancient clans. It was a pity that that young lord was killed by you ancient clan talent in the previous battle of the city. Obscure ancient clans never appear before anyone, and most of the people on this mainland did not know about their existence. Even Yi Qingtang was unclear about them. It was after seeing them today did Yi Qingtang realize how powerful the obscure ancient clan's force was. Peerless School, Phantom Valley, and Biming Manor were the three strongest forces of this mainland, but compared to the obscure ancient clan, they were like stones to a mountain. The martial culture of the obscure ancient clan was very close to that of Central Mainland. If the spirit energy on this mainland was not so thin, this obscure ancient clan probably would not be short of powerful figures in the arcane supremacy and even heavenly venerate realm. However, with the restriction of the low-level mainland, one could not be compared to a powerful figure from a high-level mainland, even if he was extremely talented. Such was fate. If the obscure ancient clan was also a force from the central mainland, perhaps they could fight against the Yu ancient clan. There are still 7 cities that have not been attacked on our south battlefield. If even these last 7 cities are lost, the Nine Knights dynasty will fall to them, and it's equivalent to us losing the entire south region. One obscure ancient clan elderly looked at the ancient clan master and said. Upon hearing that, the ancient clan master wore a serious expression. The last 7 cities were potent to the entire south region, and the consequences were dire should they be lost to the ancient Yu clan. They were currently in a life and death crisis. Yi Qingtang listened from the side without interrupting them. How is the deployment in the 7 cities? The ancient clan master asked a moment later. Among the 7 cities, 9 Fantasy City and Heaven City do not have sufficient people, and Heaven City's situation is particularly serious. There are 10 young talents of the ancient Yu clan, with 3 of them guarding outside the city. Several figures who charged forward either sustained heavy injuries or were killed. Phone was killed by one of those ancient Yu clan talents. The ancient clan master fell silent. Yi Qingtang had heard of the south battlefield situation from the Peerless School sect master. Phone was the youngest talent of the obscure ancient clan. He was less than 14 years old, but had already become a young lord. However, he died in the war outside Heaven City 3 days ago, and this was a great blow to both the obscure ancient clan and the south battlefield. Lord, Heaven City requires the deployment of powerful figures the most. Can Peerless School sect master or Phantom Valley sect master be deployed? The ancient clan elderly asked. Upon hearing that, the Peerless School sect master took a step forward and said, the 3 mighty forces are currently guarding Sky Eagle City, and it is already a heavy toll on us. I'm afraid we are unable to leave and head to Heaven City for assistance. All the powerful figures who were guarding each city could hardly look after themselves currently and did not have any energy to assist any other cities. After a few breaths later, that ancient clan elderly looked at Yi Qingtang and observed her. This lady is rather skilled at Young Lord 8th Heaven. She can head to Heaven City. Yi Qingtang did not express her opinions. Everyone else in the hall was much clearer of the south battlefield situation than her, and if there was a need, she would be bound to her duty. This is Miss Yi Qingtang. She is one of the young lords of our mainland and is extremely skilled. Peerless School sect master explained. Upon hearing that, the Biming Manor chief looked at Yi Qingtang coldly. This lady annihilated Biming Manor's subsidiary force, Yunshao sect, and even killed one young lord from their Biming Manor. Miss Yi, are you willing to head to Heaven City to support them? The ancient clan master looked at Yi Qingtang and asked. Yes. Yi Qingtang nodded in agreement. Hearing that Yi Qingtang was willing to head to Heaven City, the Biming Manor chief snickered secretly. The powerful figure presiding over Heaven City had strong relations with him. Once Yi Qingtang reached Heaven City, she would have to listen to his commands, and by then, they just needed to let this lady die in the hands of the ancient Yu clan people, all right. The ancient clan master stood up and looked at Peerless School Sect Master. You will be responsible for bringing Miss Yi to Heaven City. Noted, Peerless School Sect Master agreed, and immediately led Yi Qingtang out without any delay. After leaving the main hall, the Peerless School Sect Master looked at Yi Qingtang and asked meaningfully, Miss Yi, there is some conflict between you and Biming Manor, right? Yi Qingtang did not deny it. Back then, Biming Manor's young lords chased after her to take her life, but one of them was killed by her instead. It was indeed considered that there were some conflicts between her and Biming Manor then. Miss Yi, the commander guarding Heaven City, has a deep relationship with Biming Manor chief. You should be careful, Peerless School Sect Master said. Peerless School was very clear of Biming Manor chief's way of seeking revenge regardless of the consequences. However, in this special period of time, Peerless School Sect Master did not wish to see the people of this mainland killing each other. Thus, he reminded Yi Qingtang, Thank you for your reminder. I understand. Yi Qingtang nodded. Half a day later, Yi Qingtang arrived outside a huge city with the Peerless School Sect Master showing the way. Ahead of them was Heaven City. The surrounding city walls towered into the clouds, and the terrain was extremely steep, making the city appear to be easy to guard and difficult to attack. Even though the current combat power of the powerful figures in Heaven City was insufficient, it was tough for the ancient Yu clan to forcefully conquer Heaven City as well. Very quickly, Yi Qingtang and the Peerless School Sect Master were led into the city after revealing their identity. Haha, Peerless School Sect Master, it's been long. In no time, a middle-aged man walked over with great strides to welcome them. Long time no see, Brother Guyu. Peerless School Sect Master looked at the middle-aged man and smiled. This is Miss Yi, Yi Qingtang, one of the young lords of our mainland. She is here to aid Heaven City. A cold glint flashed across Guyu's eyes discreetly, though the smile remained on his face. Miss Yi, I know you. The eldest young lady of Yi family and the young valley master of Falling Sky Valley. A legendary figure of the mainland. Knowing a man by reputation is truly not as good as meeting him face to face. You have overpraised me. Yi Qingtang replied politely. Miss Yi, this is Brother Guyu, the overall commander of Heaven City. He is from the ancient clan and is also a young lord, Peerless School Sect Master said. Nice to meet you. Yi Qingtang nodded. It is the best that Miss Yi can come to Heaven City to assist us. The three talents of the ancient Yu clan are guarding outside the city, and the youngest young lord of the ancient clan, Mo Feng, lost his life in the battle 3 days ago. This is a huge blow to Heaven City. If not for the steep terrain of Heaven City, which makes it hard to attack, it would probably have fallen already. Guyu sighed and shook his head. Please follow me. Then, Guyu led Peerless School Sect Master and Yi Qingtang toward the towering city walls. After arriving at the top of the city walls, the high position allowed one to take in the entire situation in the vicinity with the naked eye. Furthermore, there was an ancient array formation deep in the ground of Heaven City. Any powerful figure who was in close proximity to Heaven City would be unable to fly in the air. This was also one of the greatest resources of Heaven City they could rely on. Please take a look. A while later, Guyu raised his hand and pointed afar. Yi Qingtang and Peerless School Sect Master immediately looked in the direction that Guyu pointed at, and what lay before their eyes was a temporary camp. Brother Guyu, is that you ancient clan's camp? Peerless School Sect Master had a solemn expression after looking at it. Guyu nodded and said, That's right, it is the Yu ancient clan's camp. They are fully prepared. Every noon, they trap us within the city and besiege the city. A few powerful figures within the city could not take this lying down and went out to counter them. In the end, there were many deaths and injuries, and even Mo Feng lost his life. Guyu sighed softly as helplessness overwhelmed him. There are many ordinary citizens in Heaven City, and we are unable to replenish the food supplies and water after being trapped in the city. The stock supplies are already running out now. Guyu shook his head. Young lords like Yi Qingtang and the peerless school sect master could enter the city, and you ancient clan would not care nor stop them. However, if they were delivering water and rations, the you ancient clan would definitely kill the transporter. You ancient clan's invasion strategy in Heaven City was extremely obvious. There was an array formation beneath Heaven City which made flying impossible, and the city walls were too high to be broken through forcefully. However, as long as the water and ration supplies to Heaven City were broken, the you ancient clan could achieve victory without fighting in no time. Miss Yi, do you have any good ways to overcome the you ancient clan strategy? Guyu suddenly looked at Yi Qingtang and asked. None at the moment. Yi Qingtang replied honestly. Before Guyu could continue speaking, Peerless School Sect Master said, I cannot leave Sky Eagle City for too long and need to rush back now. All right, be careful on your way. Guyu nodded. After Peerless School Sect Master left, Yi Qingtang looked at the situation at the bottom from the top of the city walls and frowned. Just as she had thought earlier, Heaven City's situation was bleak. However, it was fortunate that the terrains were steep, so the Yu ancient clan could not do anything in a short while. With Yi Qingtang's arrival, Guyu summoned 1,000 powerful figures to the top of the city walls. With Guyu included, the entire Heaven City had 3 Yang lords left currently, and the remaining people were at Yang perfected Lord 4th Heaven to 6th Heaven. 2 of the Yang lords were heavily wounded from the battle with the Yu ancient clan talents. The remaining powerful figures had a lukewarm attitude to Yi Qingtang. They originally thought that the ancient clan master would send some Yang lords at the peak of Yang perfected Lord 8th Heaven, but they merely sent one person, and her cultivation base was only at the mid-stage of Yang Lord 8th Heaven, though she was young. What was the use of sending her then? Even the youngest Yang Lord talent of the ancient clan, Mo Foam, died outside the city. Without sending more Yang lords at the peak, it was impossible to resolve this problem. Yi Qingtang was, however, not bothered by their lukewarm attitude, and she could even understand how they feel. If it was her, she might not be anywhere better than them either. However, the mainland party was already in a disadvantageous position in the south battlefield due to the insufficient number of powerful figures. Otherwise, the peerless school sect master would not head to Falling Sky Valley to look for her. Missy, why don't you go back to rest first? You can think of the countermeasure after recuperating and restoring your energy. Guyu suggested with a smile. However, before Yi Qingtang could reply, a group of you ancient clan people appeared at the bottom of the city walls. There was a crowd at the foot of the city walls. Many you ancient clan war flags waved in a clamorous fashion. Guyu and the other powerful figures in Heaven City frowned at the sight. The incomers were the you ancient clan forces, and there was a continuous influx of powerful figures from the camp afar. With a command from Guyu, thousands of archers rushed to all sides of the city walls and aimed their arrows at the you ancient clan masses beneath. Although Heaven City lost several times and sustained heavy injuries, it enjoyed a natural advantage. The ancient array formation in the ground prevented others from flying, and the city walls were reinforced through a unique technique, which made the city impregnable. Even though there were many powerful figures from the Yu ancient clan, they had to pay a price if they wished to forcefully invade the city. As such, the Yu ancient clan did not choose that option and instead surrounded Heaven City. Even if Heaven City did not accept the war, it was still a slow death. The Yu ancient clan is going too far, some Heaven City figures shouted furiously. Don't act rashly. Guyu looked at them and said, but it is not a solution to go on like this. By then, Heaven City will also be defeated. A heavily injured elderly sighed. If the headquarters could send more powerful figures over, we would not be so passive. The headquarters should know about Heaven City's situation. Do they not care about our lives? We are not abandoned, are we? Many powerful figures in Heaven City commented successively. Where's the main city this troop is based on? Yi Qingtang asked out of sudden. It's the Dragon Elephant City, 300 miles away. Guyu replied. Yi Qingtang nodded lightly. To completely resolve Heaven City's crisis, the only way was to do something in Dragon Elephant City. Heaven City people, are you all still not going to accept the battle today? At this instant, an elderly slowly walked out of a gold carriage among the ancient clan masses. His cold gaze landed on the top of the city walls as he asked. Nonetheless, there was no reply. Miss Yi, you just reached Heaven City and are probably not familiar with this ancient clan troop. That elderly who walked down from the gold carriage is Dragon Elephant City's commander. Guyu looked at Yi Qingtang and said. Yi Qingtang nodded. The elderly's skills were exceptional, and he should be a senior executive of a ancient clan. What is the purpose of guarding Heaven City? When the resources are depleted and we invade the city, you all will just be meat on a chopping board for us to butcher. The ancient clan elderly chuckled. Everyone in Heaven City knew this logic without his reminder, but if they left the city to fight, if we fight, we will die. If we don't fight, we will also die. Why not just fight it out with them? A wounded young lord elderly shouted coldly as his eyes glistened. Out of the 10 insane talents of the ancient clan, 3 of them are here. Even Mo Feng was killed by them. Once we leave the city to accept the battle, the consequences will be unbearable, Guyu said with a frown. Commander, you're in charge of Heaven City. What do you think we should do? One of the powerful figures looked at Guyu and asked. The geography of this place is to our advantage. There's no need to risk our lives to fight it out with the ancient clan. Let's wait a while more. The headquarters will definitely deploy powerful figures here. Guyu said. How long more must we wait? There are millions of people in Heaven City and millions of mouths to feed. The store rations are simply insufficient to last them a few days. With the ancient clan guarding this place, the rations team cannot enter. Even if there are powerful figures who can avoid the ancient clan spies, how many supplies can they bring with just a space ring? How would it be enough for millions of people? Chapter 1176. Heaven City, for I have an idea, but a young man said. What idea is it? Do tell us. We do not have a rations team, and are trapped by the ancient clan. The stored supplies in the city are already insufficient, and if this goes on, the citizens, and even we will eventually run out of supplies. Instead of that, why don't we take care of ourselves first? If the stored food and water in the city are not distributed to others, it is enough for our use. By then, since the ancient clan likes to besiege the city, just let them be then. We will not die from hunger or thirst anyway, the young man said. Everyone was taken aback by what that young man said. I think it's feasible. Guyu nodded his head. He had this thought a long time ago. No, that injured young lord elderly resisted with a frown. What is this? Those archers and the cultivators we recruited to counter the ancient clan are all from Heaven City. Their families and loved ones are all in the city. Are we abandoning millions of lives just to exchange for peace of mind on our food supplies? This is in consideration of the overall situation. If we cannot ensure sufficient food supply, the South battlefield will fall once again. Guyu defended. Miss Yi, what do you think? Guyu looked at Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang spoke after remaining silent for a while. I think that the root problem is not the food supplies, but the difference in combat capabilities. Even if we leave the remaining resources in Heaven City for ourselves, it is also futile. To solve the root problem, they had to strike Dragon Elephant City. Currently, the South battlefield was too passive, and should this go on for long, they would not be far from being completely conquered by the ancient clan. Everyone, how about this? We will only send one person out today. If you all can win, we will retreat. What do you think? The ancient clan elderly said with a laugh. After thinking for a long time, Guyu said to that ancient clan elderly, do you mean what you say? The ancient clan elderly laughed indifferently. Of course, we, the ancient clan, will not go back on our words. Good. Since you all are so confident, let's give a try today. Guyu snickered. The Yu ancient clan elderly shot a look at a green-robed man beside him. The green-robed man immediately took a step forward at the drumming of the Yu ancient clan war drums. Yu Qianhe from Yu ancient clan, who is coming forward to enlighten me. Yu Qianhe looked across the masses at the top of the city walls plainly. The heavenly city figures looked at each other. Yu Qianhe was one of the 10 young talents of Yu ancient clan, and even the youngest young lord of the ancient clan, Mo Feng, only had a draw with him. Humph! Arrogant! The injured elderly sneered. Let me meet you. Then, the injured elderly was about to leave the city to accept the battle. Wait! Suddenly, Guyu walked forward and stopped the injured elderly. Miss Yi was sent by the headquarters. I wish to let Miss Yi accept this battle and let her familiarize herself with the Yu ancient clan as soon as possible. If Miss Yi is defeated, it's not too late for you to step in. The injured elderly looked at Yi Qingtang and said with a frown, Miss Yi is still too young. Although her martial realm is powerful, she does not have enough foundations. Furthermore, Miss Yi does not know anything about Yu Tianhe, but we have fought many times. Even if I cannot defeat him, I can still flee back. Currently, every young lord in Heaven City was extremely precious, and nothing must go wrong. Chapter 1177 Heaven City 5 Yi Qingtang was currently inspecting the foot of the city walls. The poison in the Yu ancient clan members was already greatly weakened, and many of them had a significant increase in their skills, with several young lords present. Yi Qingtang was a little helpless. Ling Yin should have laced a more toxic poison back then and kill all of these bastards. While that was what she thought, she knew that it was simply unrealistic. Ling Yin laced poison on a large scale, and the effects of poison would be greatly diminished once it dissolved in water, no matter how toxic the poison was. Furthermore, most of the people from the Yu ancient clan were in the arcane supremacy, divine arcane supremacy, and even heavenly venerate realm. Thus, it was almost impossible to poison them to death. If the poison was too strong, it would be easily detected as well. What Ling Yin had done was already a great help to this mainland. If not for Ling Yin, this mainland would not have lasted to this day and would probably have been annihilated within several days of the Yu ancient clan's invasion. Miss Yi just reached Heaven City. I'm afraid it's not good if she goes out to accept the battle now. The injured elderly looked at Guyu and said with a frown. However, Guyu shook his head and replied, no matter what, Miss Yi is a young lord sent by the headquarters. Although she is young, she must have a forte. Sending Miss Yi to the field would be the best. If she wins, we can also drive the Yu ancient clan out. The injured elderly was hesitant. What Guyu said seemed to make sense, but that Yu Qianhe was too powerful and was one of the 10 great young talents of the Yu ancient clan. If Yi Qingtang was highly skilled, she should all the more stay in Heaven City to observe the fight. It was not too late to challenge Yu Tianhe after she completely understood him. All right, there's no need to talk much. Let's decide it as such. Guyu waved his hand and stopped the injured elderly from speaking again. All right, the injured elderly no longer spoke anything else. Guyu was the overall commander of Heaven City, and others would oblige unconditionally once Guyu made a decision. This was the rule of the battlefield. Miss Yi, do you have any issues? Guyu looked at Yi Qingtang quickly and chuckled. Senior Guyu is the overall commander of Heaven City. Since you have already made the decision, I will not have any issues, Yi Qingtang said. Obviously, Yi Qingtang knew what Guyu was plotting. Before she came to Heaven City, she had already heard from the Peerless School Sect Master that this Guyu seemed to be very close to the Baiming Manor Chief. Yi Qingtang initially believed that in the face of a calamity, everyone would be united to defeat the enemy. Yet this Guyu is so short-sighted. She should not be the first to go up regardless of any aspect, as she did not know anything about Yu Tianhe. If she was the overall commander, she would definitely let the newcomer observe the battle first, and then send them to the field once the newcomer had a rough understanding of the Yu ancient clan figures. The Yu ancient clan's martial skills and foundations were much more powerful than that of this mainland from the start, and hastily countering them would only result in the huge likelihood of death. Of course, Yi Qingtang would not dispute with Guyu right now. After all, Guyu was the overall commander of Heaven City, while she was a young lord sent over to support them. Guyu indeed had the right to do this. Thus, Yi Qingtang would not comment much. Chapter 1178, Heaven City 6, Ha good. Miss Yi is indeed as courageous as a man. I wish you a victory in your first battle. Guyu nodded and said. Immediately, Yi Qingtang leaped down from the city walls and landed on the ground. Seeing that it was a young lady, the Yu ancient clan lady snickered. Why? Does the south battlefield not have anyone already? You all actually sent a little lady here to accept the battle. Guyu shouted coldly from the top of the city walls. I think you all are the joke. Miss Yi is a powerful figure sent by the headquarters. She is already a young lord at a young age. Today will definitely be the day you die. Upon hearing that, the Yu ancient clan elderly snickered and signaled a finger at the man beside him. Tianhe, kill this so-called young powerful figure sent by the headquarters. With the order, the green-robed man walked forward expressionlessly. The Yu ancient clan army immediately retreated to make space for a large battlefield for Yi Qingtang and Yu Tianhe. Miss Yi, we believe that you will definitely be able to behead this Yu Tianhe given your skills. Guyu's voice traveled down very quickly. Yi Qingtang sized up Guyu discreetly. It seemed that this overall commander of Heaven City really wanted her to die in the hands of Yu Tianhe. On the account that you're a lady and that you're so young, they'll spare you 3 moves. After 3 moves, I will chop your head down. Yu Tianhe stared at Yi Qingtang and said coldly, Spare me 3 moves. Yi Qingtang sized up Yu Tianhe meaningfully. That's generous of you. I will not refuse it if that's the case. The Yu ancient clan's arrogance was what Yi Qingtang wished to see. This was a battlefield, and if her enemy wanted to spare her 3 moves, it was impossible for Yi Qingtang to reject it. Suddenly, without any warning, Yi Qingtang turned into a white shadow at an extremely high speed that even Yu ancient clan elderly afar could not help but be stunned. That lattice speed and movement were truly exceptional. Swoosh! In the blink of an eye, Yi Qingtang was already in front of Yu Tianhe. A glint flashed across her eyes immediately, and she rammed a fist at Yu Tianhe. Yu Tian's eyes widened after sensing the force in Yi Qingtang's punch, and he raised his hand to block it instinctively. Boom boom! A thunderous roar reverberated throughout the place. Under everyone's shocked watch, Yu Tianhe trembled intensely and staggered more than 10 steps backward. It was only when he planted his feet on the ground did he finally diffuse the force from Yi Qingtang's punch and stabilize himself. He fought back. The scene shocked all the archers and powerful figures at the top of the city walls. Yi Qingtang's cold gaze landed on Yu Tianhe, who was a few meters away from her, and she said indifferently, The Yu ancient clan never goes back on their words. I believe everyone heard you promise that you would spare me 3 moves, but you fought back at the first move. That is disappointing. Yu Tian's eyes turned golden. This lady was much more powerful than that young Mo phone from that day. If he did not retaliate the force from that punch just now, the consequences would have been dire. Tianhe, kill her! The Yu ancient clan elderly shouted furiously. As the elderly spoke finish, an astonishing sword intent emerged around Yu Tian's body. The supposed sword intent was willpower cultivated by powerful figures of the Sword Tao. As long as this willpower was sufficiently powerful, it could annihilate anyone with just the slash of a sword. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.